Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. But unlike characters like Super Mario, voiced by Charles Martinet,
It's me, Mario! It's a me, Mario! Woohoo! Let's go! Okie dokie!
Sonic has never had that consistent voice actor to deliver his signature sound. People will argue in the comment sections and on Twitter, Ryan Drummond in Sonic Heroes? That is absolutely peak. Jason Griffith in Sonic and the Black Knight? Now that is Sonic's true signature sound. Actually, that's what I personally think, but anyways. Or they'll say Roger Craig Smith in Sonic Frontiers? Now that is his true signature performance. With his new writing and voice direction, how could you argue that this is the best Sonic has ever sounded? You'll hear arguments like that. The familiarity and comfort you find in the voice of your favorite character is something that can leave a lasting impression for the rest of your life. This will define how you identify with this character and some of your greatest memories with them. But over the years, we have seen so many different talents lend their voice to Sonic, so there really isn't one true consistent Sonic the Hedgehog. But what if Sonic sounded different, or should I say more familiar? In today's video, we will do a deeper dive into the story about how the Sonic you know may have sounded different forever, with a little context and backstory. So guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. I'll give you a second to do that. And hopefully you smash the like button, turn on noties, and never miss a video ever again, but let's get right into it. So this story starts way back in the 1990s. This is when Sonic the Hedgehog debuted, and gaming was in a much different position during this time. During this era of gaming, voice acting was something that was truly a novelty in video games, and it was something that wasn't actually a focus. During this era, Sonic actually went through several different voice actors. So Sonic has definitely sounded very different, and in the 90s was really struggling to kind of find that sound. This is how he sounded originally when Jaleel White voiced him in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
A long way from the nearest chili dog stand, that's for sure.
Looks like we're inside the walls of some kind of castle. What's the rush, milady? Let's check it out, Scout.
Yeah, 2 requests. Show us how to get out of here and 2 dozen chili dogs with extra onions and cheese. To go.
So I gotta say, he does sound pretty good, and that to me is the true classic Sonic. But throughout the 90s, he was looking for that consistent voice. Fast forward a couple years later to Sonic Schoolhouse, and we see what Sonic sounded like.
I hope you liked my demo. There's even more fun stuff in the full version of Sonic Schoolhouse. In the full version of the game, that will take you on a field trip. In the full version of the game, you can go through these gates to play in the schoolyard. In the full version of the game, that bus would take you on a field trip.
So yeah, it's safe to say Sonic had very different vocal ranges. And last but not least, before they found the final voice actor to be the consistent voice of Sonic, we also had the voice actor Martin Burke from the Sonic OVA.
Have time to play little games with you. Get out of our way! So now we can get down to the real fight. The last Sonic standing will be the winner. What? This world isn't big enough for both of us and one of us has to go? Well, I agree. You might know everything I'm going to do, but that's not going to help you since I know everything you're going to do. Strange, isn't it?
So within the first like 5 to 7 years or so, Sonic has been consistently cycling through voice actors. However, as gaming expanded throughout the 90s and we're inching towards the 2000s, there was a leap into three-dimensional gaming. You have consoles like the Nintendo 64, the PlayStation 1 and 2. It seemed like every single company was making that leap into 3D, and the technological capabilities of gaming was expanding. Gaming was becoming a lot more immersive. So in addition to 3D graphics, games were also getting full-blown voice acting. This is where the Sega Dreamcast comes into play. When the Sega Dreamcast was released, this is when we finally got that consistent voice actor for Sonic that would truly define who this character would be for the next couple of years. So we need to talk about his first appearance in my favorite Sonic game of all time, Sonic Adventure 1.
Oh yeah! This is happening! You big drip, where you going? Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
Ryan Drummond was officially cast as the voice of Sonic and was his voice actor until 2004. So this was a lot of people's first version of Sonic, and he went on to voice him in Sonic Adventure 2.
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like running better.
Oh my god, that is so peak. And then he went on to voice him in games like Sonic Heroes.
No worries. We've got this one. Ha! Think I'd miss this? Time to crack that Eggman wide open. Yeah, let's party!
I gotta say, Sonic Heroes is definitely when he came into his own. I feel like that was his best performance. But this is the subject of today's videos, in particular Ryan Drummond, and how the entire Sonic franchise could have been a lot different. And this starts back in 2010, but we can't talk about the 2010s before we talk about what happened in between. All good things must eventually come to an end, as Ryan Drummond and the rest of the Sonic the Hedgehog voice actor cast was fired and replaced, where Jason Griffith was actually cast as the new Sonic the Hedgehog voice. And this is what he sounded like.
Before I grab it. Yeah, I guess I could go for something. What's on the menu? Well, I'm off. It's been a real blast, but I gotta split. See ya! Enjoy your vacay, kids! Catch you on the flip side, huh?
I gotta say, though, Jason Griffith is definitely my favorite Sonic of all time. I'm not 100% mad about this, but I also do like Ryan. But unfortunately, with the Sonic X TV show, the previous cast all got the boot, and this was probably because they wanted to have a consistent sound across all forms of media. And it's actually interesting because with the announcement of Sonic X, a lot of people thought Ryan Drummond would be Sonic, and Drummond actually did reach out to Sega. Drummond reached out to Sega, and they told him actually to reach out to 4Kids, and this is what 4Kids said to Ryan Drummond. They said, "Dear Mr. Drummond, I understand you left a voice message for his associate," and they said that they can only imagine how you must feel about another actor voicing Sonic, but he could assure you that that was never the aim of 4Kids to change the original voices or replace any other game voice actors. The simple reality is that they needed to hire actors who live in the New York City area. Although Ryan Drummond actually responded and said that he would have gladly relocated to New York City to do this, so clearly there was some foul play afoot. So with all that being said, with Ryan Drummond previous voice actors out, Jason Griffith went on to voice Sonic for the next 7 years and deliver some masterful performances, I will say. But all of this changed in 2010, and this is what brings us to the point of this video. Roger Craig Smith was hired to be Sonic the Hedgehog in 2010 after Jason Griffith and all of the 4Kids Sonic X actors were actually cast out. This was probably due to lackluster performances of Sonic games such as Sonic 06, bad reviews for games like Sonic Unleashed, Shadow the Hedgehog, throughout the 2000s, so Sega probably wanted to go into a different direction. And if you look at games like Sonic Colors and games of the meta era, it's clear that they wanted to go in a completely different direction when they casted Roger Craig Smith. But what if Roger Craig Smith never was the voice of Sonic? You could imagine that Sonic would sound much different. And that was the case because Sonic was supposed to sound a lot different than Roger Craig Smith. Sonic was actually supposed to sound familiar. That is because in 2010, apparently, Ryan Drummond was apparently recast as the role of Sonic, at least according to him. According to this Soa City article, Ryan Drummond re-auditioned for Sonic in 2010 and actually received the role. As a matter of fact, they claim, at least Ryan does, that he re-won the role of Sonic the Hedgehog. So this article is on Soa City, and someone was interviewing Ryan Drummond, and they said, "Many fans online believe that you are still the best Sonic voice yet, and would love to see you return to the franchise. Is returning to voice Sonic something you might be interested in doing again?" And the response was very interesting. Ryan said in a heartbeat, "I never wanted to leave, but as most of you know, we were all let go by Sega and replaced for reasons too vast to go into right now. There was a glimmer of hope a while back when Generations was being cast. Sega asked me to come to LA and re-audition for the role of Sonic because they were doing the same thing to Jason in that cast that they did to us years before. So I went and they were very pleased to have me back, and they actually said that they were going to have me back and it was going to be a great reunion. Then when the actual offer came to my agent, it was a complete joke. They asked me to leave my union, which is how I make a living, do all kinds of work for no compensation, etc. It was a real slap in the face. I really don't ever see it happening. Sega is a huge corporation with zillions of dollars, and they don't see any need to change the way they do things. There's a lot more detail I can't go into because of legal reasons, but let's just say I wish I had been voicing Sonic all this time. I would return in a heartbeat, but if Sega ever decides to hire me again, the devil's making snow cones. It's cool though. I would love to be Sonic again, but I have plenty of other VO work without Sega." This may have been a little mix-up though, because actually the first title would have been Sonic Free Riders, because that was the first game Roger Craig Smith voiced in, and it actually says in the article that would have been his first title. So that is pretty explosive. So according to Ryan Drummond himself, he was recast as the role of Sonic, and he actually got the role, but they wanted him to leave his union, which understandably was not a good career decision for him to do that. But what could have been, man? But there was some refutation to these claims, or at least maybe there could have been a mix-up. Kevin Eva, who was a former Sega of Europe community manager, actually responded to the claims, and he said this: "I've talked briefly about about this process before, but this is news to me. I suspect this was entirely Sega of America politics and US contracts related. He said that Ryan did indeed audition, and he was notable and provided 2 readings, one in a more regular voice and one with a pitched up voice to sound younger. And he said, we weren't told people's names initially when we heard it. I told the Sega of Europe group, this guy's actually trying to sound like Sonic, which the previous 2 or 3 really hadn't. I asked who it was. When they said Ryan Drummond, I laughed hard and had to explain to them why. The judging was based purely on suitability, not previous roles on our side. Sega of Europe hadn't looked up anyone's past roles or anything like that. It was who sounded best for Sonic going forward, and after hearing Roger, the Sega of Europe side unanimously decided he was the pick. For clarity, just in case anyone thinks otherwise, I'm not disputing what Ryan is saying here. America may have well indeed told him that. So there is a little bit of back and forth. I would imagine that Ryan Drummond is definitely telling the truth. Like, he said he won the re-audition, but clearly there was something wrong in between that created some hurdles for that. But he was supposed to come back and be Sonic, which I think would have been absolutely perfect. Like, what would Ryan Drummond have sounded like if he was currently Sonic? We actually know what he would have sounded like because we do have some voice clips from a fan show that he actually voice acted in. Let's roll the clip.
Hey, that time.
Hey, Sonic!
What's up, Tails?
Hop on the wing!
Okay. He's reloading.
Exactly. That's why I called you up here. I brought something.
What'd you bring? Whoa! The 7th Chaos Emerald.
Yep. I found it during one of my test flights.
Some things never change. Nice find, dude. I'm telling you to get up and help us, knucklehead.
So there you have it. Sonic was supposed to sound very familiar, but also very different. And that's what Sonic would have sounded like if he was voice acted by Ryan Drummond. This would have been a very good thing, in my opinion, just to establish some of that familiarity with the character, because I feel like the voice actor changing all the time is something that's been an issue. Ryan Drummond returning to the role would have been something very special for all of us, I think. Because like I said before, he was definitely one of my favorite voice actors. He was the first Sonic I ever grew up with because I played Sonic Heroes as my first game ever. But even with the current voice actor, Roger Craig Smith, we almost went through the same thing. In early 2021, Roger Craig Smith actually was supposed to leave as the role of Sonic, if you look at this tweet right here. But a couple months later, I guess whatever dispute he had with Sega was fixed because he actually came back as the voice actor. But even Rogers had some issues with that consistent sound. If you look at this clip right here.
It's just like, we're not doing it that way this time. And I was like, oh, okay. Because he was just like, it's going to be a little deeper, it's a little more, you know, and I'm thinking for Sonic, so I'm like, okay, you know, it's over, Egghead. And he's like, a little deeper. And I'm like, it's over, Egghead. Little deeper. It's over, Egghead. It's like, little deeper. It's over, Egghead. And he's like, right there. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. But that was it. I was like, I should be paying you guys. There's nothing, it's like 4 hours of going like this. 4 hours, you know, as opposed to 4 hours of going like this. I can do that.
Definitely would be easier on the vocal cords.
Oh, way easier, yeah.
So there you have it. That is a story about how Sonic the Hedgehog could have sounded different, but also familiar. Would you have wanted to see Ryan Drummond return to the role of Sonic the Hedgehog? Or do you like the current direction they have going on right now? Let me know down below in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until I see you next time, peace out.